Well, hello there and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about my 2021 high-end beauty favorites. I already posted my 2021 beauty favorites from the drugstore, and I will have that link down below in case you missed it. But I am so excited to share the high-end products that I've loved all year with you guys, so let's get right into it. So starting with an old favorite of a lot of people's, we have the Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. I discovered this product this year. Well, I knew about it prior to this year, but I first used it this year when actually a makeup artist used it on me, and I just loved the result. This is the translucent one, but when I do repurchase it someday, whenever I run out, I will be repurchasing the honey shade, just because I think it may work a little bit better for my skin. Either way, I love this powder and it definitely deserves the hype that it gets, in my opinion. It sets down your makeup beautifully without adding a really cakey layer to it. In fact, it doesn't make your makeup cakier, which is my biggest pet peeve with a lot of powders. I do have dry skin, but I do like using powders. I love the airbrush effect that they give, and I also love the fact that they make your makeup last longer. But of course, I do have to be picky with my powders to make sure that they look nice on my skin and also don't take away all of the dewiness or glow that I have put down with the rest of my makeup products. While this Laura Mercier setting powder does take away some of the glow, it doesn't take away all of that, and that's one of the reasons why I love this powder. Now, for a powder, this definitely is pricey, but you get a lot. I bought this back in March, and I've used it almost every day since, and I don't even think I'm halfway through. So if you are part of the very few people, it seems, that haven't tried the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder, then definitely give it a shot. This next product is a product I'd been wanting to try for a while, but I just couldn't justify the price for what the product was. And honestly, if it wasn't for winning the $500 gift card to Sephora from Ally Glines earlier this year, I wouldn't have been able to try this or a couple of the other products if I didn't receive it in PR. So I am still so thankful for that, the chance to be able to just try out a lot of high-end products that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to try. Without rambling on and on about that, that product is the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. This is actually the very first product that I've ever tried from Charlotte Tilbury, and I have to say this product definitely lives up to the hype, just like the Laura Mercier powder. Now, I have talked about this product a couple times on my channel, so I won't go on too much about it, but I will say that I will definitely be repurchasing this when I do run out, but I don't seem to be anywhere near running out. I use the shade 5.5 Tan, for those of you who use me as a shade reference. On me, it is pretty much exactly my skin tone, so I can wear it, without something else, or I can wear it and put a little bit of concealer on top and it doesn't look crazy or anything on my skin. I'm sure if I used a shade lighter or two, it could be used as a highlighter, but for my skin tone, this 5.5 shade is definitely more of a primer. Or at least that's the way that I personally choose to use it. I love the way it just makes the skin so glowy and beautiful and healthy looking, and just plumps up the skin and gets it ready for makeup or just ready for your day if you're looking for a really sheer coverage, glowy product to wear. And in case you didn't know, they do sell these in minis if you're not sure about your shade, or if you just want to give the product a try and don't want to commit to the $44 price tag. I've got two foundation favorites for 2021, and the first one is the NARS Soft Matte Complete Foundation. I use the shade Aruba Medium 6, which is a little bit light for me, but I definitely make it work. And you guys know I've been raving about this foundation on my channel. In case you haven't seen any of my videos where I've mentioned it before, it is a beautiful full coverage foundation, but it lays so beautifully on the skin. It doesn't look natural per se because, of course, we all have blemishes and everything like that, but it looks as natural as a full coverage foundation has looked on my skin. And even with my dry skin, it doesn't cling to my dry patches, and I just don't find any issues with it looking dry or cakey on my skin. A little bit does go a long way. Like I said, it is full coverage, but you can sheer it out to be more medium or light coverage if you use just a little bit, or if you mix in a little bit of oil or moisturizer. This is another one of those products that is on the pricier side, but you get a lot. You get 1.5 fluid ounces in it, when you normally get 1 fluid ounce in your standard liquid foundation. And even though I'm not using these products in my video today, I will definitely link down below videos where I am using a lot of these products. That way you can see them in action. The second foundation is the Fenty Ease Drops Blurring Skin Tint, and I know the name says it is a skin tint, but I personally use it more as a foundation. And what I mean by that is when I'm reaching for a product on a no makeup day, this is definitely not the product that I'm reaching for, and it's definitely not not a bad thing. I just want to mention that in case the name skin tint has you thinking that it's going to be a super light coverage product when this is not. I would actually say that this product is more of a medium coverage product, and I love that. I love the way it looks on the skin. And again, we have another matte foundation. Like I said a couple videos ago, I've noticed that just with my dry skin, I love to layer up my dewy products, my dewy primers, everything like that. But as a result, it can be a little crazy when I do all of that on top of a dewy foundation. So I found that using a matte base, of course, one that's not too matte, will help me kind of mitigate that dewiness and glowiness that I'm using in all of my other products. Just like the name says, this product really does blur out the skin. It just has a really natural effect on the skin despite having the medium coverage. It wears really nice by itself, but you can also mix it in with other foundations. I waited so long to try this product. Everyone was raving about it, and of course it sold out, and they did not restock my shade for a long time. But I finally got my hands on it, and even though I discovered this one later in the year, it has become such a favorite so quickly that I thought it was worth putting in my 2021 favorites. I have two high-end concealer favorites, and they're actually both from MAC Causemetics, but this certainly isn't surprising because I do love matte complexion products. The first one is this MAC 24-Hour Smoothwear Concealer. Prior to using this concealer, I was a big fan of the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer, and I actually still am a fan of that concealer, but I like to lean more towards that for a high glam, gonna be photographed type of look because it photographs beautifully. It looks beautiful on camera, but in person it can be a little bit heavy. It can be a little bit much, but this one, while it doesn't have quite as much coverage, it looks so much more smooth under the eye, just like the name would suggest. I don't think this necessarily lasts as long as the Pro Longwear Concealer, but again, I'm not really looking for that these days, and so I am totally fine with the wear time that comes with this concealer. Now, this is the shade NC43, which is slightly light for me. The other concealer from MAC is the Studio Fix Conceal and Correct palette, and this is in the medium deep colorway. And I actually mostly use the top two shades in there as a color corrector, although I have dipped into all 6 of the shades that are on here. And the nice thing about MAC is that all of these shades are also available individually in their different pots. So if you buy one of these palettes and you find that you use one of the shades more than the other, you kind of go through that shade and don't use any of the others, then you can just repurchase that particular shade. It's hard to see, but I'm actually like almost at pan in those top 2. I have used this nonstop since I got it. I use it mostly to color correct, like I said, and it's really beautiful for layering underneath other concealers if I need to, or it wears beautifully alone and I just powder it down with a pressed powder. I was actually inspired to pick this up after I watched a video by HINDASH where he uses this on a model's face, and I'm telling you, just with this palette, he did like almost an entire full face look. It was crazy. I'll actually link that down below because just the work he did with that is just beautiful. My eyeshadow game really changed up this year. Like I mentioned in my drugstore favorites video, I really simplified things down. I really just went back to basics and focused more on neutrals and focused more on discovering which eyeshadow looks would look good with my eye shape. And that's just easier to do with neutral tones. This Makeup by Mario Master Matte's eyeshadow palette has been everything I asked for and more when it comes to a simple, neutral eyeshadow palette. It's great for everyday looks, but it's also great to ground any more colorful or adventurous looks that you're wanting to try out. It's very foolproof because it's not too pigmented, but it's pigmented enough that you don't have to, spend too long on your eyeshadow. And one of my biggest pet peeves with eyeshadow palettes is when I can't use most or even just all of the shades because I want to make sure I'm getting my money's worth when I'm purchasing product, and I have dipped into every single shade of this eyeshadow palette at least once. And that can't be said about every eyeshadow palette in my collection. I used this palette as an everyday eyeshadow, but I also used it on my wedding day. So this is a great, reliable, beautiful palette, and I am so glad that I picked it up. A powder bronzer I've been loving and using all year is the Thrive Causemetics Sun Chaser Sculpt and Blur Bronzing Powder, and I use the shade Paloma, and you can see right here that I've already hit pan, and I already have a backup, which is amazing. This bronzer unseated my previous favorite, which was my Anastasia Beverly Hills powder bronzer in the shade Cappuccino. I like this shade much better, and I also like this formula much better. This tone is a lot more flattering on my skin tone, and it also lasts longer on the skin, and it also has the effect of a setting powder where it really does blur out the skin and it adds just a hint of coverage. I remember when I first discovered Vibe Causemetics and they actually only had this bronzer in one shade and they recently expanded it to 4. And even though it's only 4 shades, it has a much wider range than a lot of these other companies have in their bronzer shade range. And I already have some long-term favorites from Thrive Causemetics, so I'm just adding this one to the list. I'm actually thinking of doing another full face of Thrive Causemetics because it has just been so long since I've done that, and I recently rediscovered my love for their CC cream. For a mascara, I am typically a drugstore gal. I am actually pretty picky about my mascara, but I also know that you don't have to spend a whole lot of money to get beautiful mascaras. But I did receive this one in PR, and that is the MAC Magic Extension Mascara, and I really enjoyed this one. Now, this one is a fiber mascara, so it's great for both lengthening and volume. It gives you those kind of spidery lashes, which I actually really enjoy. I didn't have any issues with it flaking or smudging or anything like that. And the brush is nice and thin, so if you have smaller eyes or hooded eyes, you don't have to worry about getting mascara all over you like with a bigger brush. MAC in general has really great mascaras, so I definitely wasn't shocked to find that I like this one a lot. I have 2 lip favorites from 2021, and they are both glosses. I think it's just time to admit I am mostly a gloss girl, and that's just how it's been. The first is the Tower 28 Milky Jelly Gloss, and this is in the shade Cashew, and I love this stuff, guys. It is not sticky at all. It has a really nice scent to it, and I'm actually wearing it today. It makes your lips just look so juicy and plump without being sticky. It fills in any of the fine lines you might have on your lips and just makes them look so good, so smooth and so nice. While they're not super pigmented, you do want to be careful about what shades you pick because I originally got the shade Oat and it looked really gross and milky on my skin, whereas this one looks so beautiful and slightly milky, but not to the point where it looks bad on my skin tone. I think the packaging is really cute, and I think it being one of the more affordable brands at Sephora makes it a little bit more approachable for more people, and I can't wait to try more of their products. The other lip favorite for 2021 is the Fenty Cream Gloss Bomb. This is specifically in the shade Honey Waffles, although I would recommend any of the shades because they are all so nice. I specifically recommend this shade Honey Waffles though because this was kind of slightly out of the ordinary for me. It's not that I haven't tried more orangey toned lip colors before. I really haven't tried anything that looked like this before. And over the summer, this was such a hit. I don't reach for this as much now because it does lean, just a little bit more warm, gives you more of that summer vibe. But man, just the way that this makes my lips look just so plump, delicious, and gorgeous. Very similar to the Tower 28, except that this is actually much more pigmented. So much so that it could change the color of a lipstick that's underneath. The original Gloss Bomb formula was in my 2020 favorites, so to see this in my 2021 favorites, of course, is not surprising at all. But all right, that wraps up my 2021 high-end beauty favorites. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and keep an eye out for my skincare version of this video. You're definitely going to want to see the skincare products that I loved all 2021. I can't wait to share those with you. Anyways, thanks again for watching, and I hope you're having the best day. Bye.